The old opening. Door is off. Going to replace all these with solid core. Door slabs. Taking all the old doors off. And we will be putting on new hinges, new doorknobs, and replacing all the doors in the house with solid core doors. Grab that door.
Yeah.
And then we'll lay that door down.
When lining up the old door with the new door, make sure you line up the tops very accurately. That's the one measurement area that never changes. That will ensure that your hinge locations and your doorknob locations line up properly.
Good. Now we're going to take the square. And what we're going to do is line off our hinges. So there's our hinge location. Okay, so that's done. That's done. Here. And basically this door shouldn't have any trash. You can stand right up over there.
Make sure when you line up the jig that you're centering it on the marks that you made when you transferred the location from the old door. This will ensure that when you mount the door, that your doorknob will line up with the strike plate properly. This is very important because then you could have issues with how the door lines up on the actual door frame and jamb.
Going up. Come through. There. So let's do this. Okay.
If you notice, by drilling from both sides, you get a very, very clean cutout for the doorknob. There's no tear out. There's no split wood. You don't take a chance on damaging the actual door itself. So always remember to cut from both sides. Use the included insert and the jig and the instructions that came with your Milescraft 350. Line up the router plate depending on the type of hinge you have. Use the 2 included screws to screw the jig down to the door. These holes will be filled later before painting. Once you have it screwed down, then you're ready to route out the hinges. Line up this jig with the marks that you previously made with your speed square. Okay, here I'm going to use a Milwaukee cordless trim router to router in the hinges. Man, this is a great trim router. I'll be doing a review on it later as well. I had previously set the depth of the bit to match the depth of the hinges. You can use the old doors as a test to be able to set up your jig to make sure it's going to router in the hinges to the correct depth. You have the old doors, so that's a great opportunity to be able to test everything before you cut in the hinges on your brand new door slabs. After you router the hinge area, you want to test fit your hinges just to make sure everything lines up. This example here, we used a rounded hinge, so it fits perfect. There's no need to use the square chisel to square out the corners. All this links will be posted in the description for all these parts that you need. Here I'm going to use a guide bit to perfectly center the screws on the hinge. That way when you put the screws in, the hinge plate won't move and cause alignment issues. This bit is usually included with the Milescraft kits.
Back in. Okay. There you go.
Okay, we're ready to router out for the latch plate. I've put in the correct insert for the size of latch plate that we'll be using with the doorknobs that Tina bought. They happen to be for a 1-inch latch plate. You can do 1 inch or 1.125" with this kit. That's the most common sizes that are out there on the market. Typically, you're going to be using the 1 inch 90% of the time, in my opinion, for standard box store latches and doorknobs. Same way, you put the plate, the jig into the holder, screw it down by lining it up dead center on the hole. You can use that little reference mark that's right by the LA and latch. And then just set your router bit depth. Once again, we use the old door to test this. I found that having 2 router bits and 2 routers kept you from having to change the depth cut every single door. Sure did make the job go a lot faster. So if you have 2 routers, buy 2 bits for the Milescraft kit, then you could set one to the depth for the latch plate, which is deeper than the depth for the hinge plate. That way you never have to change it. You can keep your settings consistent from door to door to door. It will greatly speed up the process of routering in these devices. So it really helps to have a second person to help you when you go to hang the doors. Solid core door slabs are very, very heavy. So having someone to help you will keep you from damaging the jamb or messing up your nice mortise that you just made. So have the second person hold the door, help you line the holes up, and then you can mount the hinges. Okay, it's time to put on the doorknob. There's two types usually for interior. You can have bed and bath, which have push locks on them. Then you have hall and closet, which have no locks at all on them. So this one's a hall and closet, so there's no lock to worry about. I put the screws on the outside just to make sure that if something went wrong, I could still get the doorknob off and open it back up. Typically, you'd put these screws on the inside, and I switched them after the job was done. If you noticed, I used the drill to start the screws for the doorknob. I did not drive the screws all the way in. As you notice here, the doorknob was still loose. I use a manual screwdriver to tighten up the screws, so I don't take a chance on stripping anything inside the doorknob. The drills can sometimes have a habit of over-tightening the screws, and you can break the aluminum frames on the doorknobs or strip out the hole. And there we go. Door shuts, opens, everything looks good. Okay, last thing to do is install the latch plate. Get that put in, make sure the door shuts good, and then that'll be one more job done on the remodel.